is about 9:30 in the morning, and I've been out here for an hour. Been installing a couple of more boards, but the biggest thing was cleaning up more debris, and I chopped the ends off all the installed boards here and a few more to go because my dumpster has to leave this morning. Obviously I'm behind, but I rented it for 3 days thinking I'd get it done, but weather until Saturday and Sunday just wasn't cooperative. It delayed everything. Probably might have been smarter to wait until I had it all done, but I had so much debris from the old deck, I needed it out of the way. I still have to mow my lawn yesterday and didn't get to it, but I needed all that old debris out of the way. So I'll either get another dumpster when I finish with this, or I'll just haul this myself. It won't be that much, it'll just be the ends of the rest of the boards here. I can throw those in the back of my truck and take them off. But in the sunlight in this morning with a very tired body, it's all right. It's just the last time I built the deck I had a little more help, and I've had great help when Joyce has been home, and my daughter Liz helping yesterday. But last time I built this deck I had my son, both my daughters, my future son-in-law were there at times, and Joyce of course to help. So this time it's just me, the tools, and the boards. Back later. Alright, this is a tool. I don't know when these came out. I didn't see them around 10 years ago. But normally when you're putting in decks, you find your joist and you put a screw here and a screw here and you sink it. When you're doing a natural wood deck, composite have the clips and all other sorts of tricks. And some modern woods are now designed that you can do the clips that you just screw into the board and push in and screw. But this is my first board in 11 years, and some of the tools have changed, and this one I'm really liking. It slows down the screen a bit, but it's going to pay off in the future. It fits on, it's designed to fit deck boards up to 5 3/4 inches. This is a 5.5 inch board, so it clips on, locks into place, and then you have a screw on the front, screw in the back. They have little jigs for them, and it gives you, so you just hold it, but since I'm the only one here I can't do it live, but you just screw them in. It's called camo, and they're edge deck screws, so it puts it in on the side here. You can see maybe right there, that's as small as the screw hole is. They hold nice and tight, but the best thing is no screws showing on top, so you get that clean top of the wood look. And they're much less likely to rot out because moisture and everything is going to drip around them and go down, follow the course of the board downwards, and then it's not going to sit in there and hold and freeze and cause expansion and rot and so forth. So I really like the design of this. I think it's very cool. I have my old-fashioned spacers here. Now there's one trick I want to show you if you're like me, where I have the basic tools. I have all kinds of basic tools, but there are some specialty tools, like professional guys have clamps that are designed when you have a board that's slightly warped. For example, this board right here. Now some people say this is within tolerance, but I've got just a little wiggle there. I got just a little wiggle there. Now you can buy specialty clamps that slide between the boards and squeeze and pulls the board straight until it's tight with your spacer. But if you don't have that board, I have an old trick my grandfather taught me, which is a tourniquet. So I just take some heavy duty strapping and then I will tie it around. I use my crowbar, but you can use a hammer, a wrench, anything that's strong enough that you can just twist in circles. And I'll be back in a second. So once you got whatever you're using as the lever tied, move my thing out of the way, and you just twist this, and you keep twisting it, and you keep twisting it. Make sure you're anchored on another board or even two. And as you twist it, it will pull these boards tighter. Now that play that I showed you a minute ago is gone. It's nice and snug. There's no sliding of it. And then you just, it works better if you have two people. But, and you always do, you know me, I don't like giving tips, but you always do the end you're trying to push in first. Don't do the outer or the inner. You do the end you're trying to push. If you're trying to hold the pressure this way because the board is pushing out this way, oops, and my screwdriver, and then I can relieve the pressure. Be careful, if you tie these a lot, they actually will kick back like a helicopter. But there we go, no play. Much tighter. So I don't know how well that came out filming it. But basically you twist this, you keep twisting this until you feel you've lost the play in this. Now, because these edges are rounded and the boards aren't always exactly 100% level, you might get play this way. That's why you got to kind of hold it down and wiggle it. And you see now there's no wiggling like there was before I did this. The key is when you go to put your screw in, always do the screw. If you're going from the side, or even if you're coming from on top, you put the screw in on the side that's bowing out. You know, if you're trying to push the board back in this way as I was, you do the screw on the outside. If the board is pressuring, you don't need the tourniquet, you just use the spacer and you put the screw in this way first. If everything's good, you can put the screws in at the same time. Joyce and I did that, and our daughter Liz, we took, one was on one side, one was on the other. Once we had everything set, just screws all the way along these boards. But a lot of these boards are not straight, so I use spacers, as you should, and you can set the width. These are old. I've had these for close to 20 years. They're just hard plastic, but they're still good. You can see you've got an edge there for a wider space and a thinner space. Sometimes it depends on wood or personal preference. Because we do get a lot of snow and stuff, I go for the wider space just to allow a lot of leaves and that to fall through a little easier than the tighter. Most people prefer the tighter look. And I admit I probably prefer the tighter look myself, but nature also dictates what you do. But I've had these forever, and these do, for example, you set it at the end of a board like this for wall spacing. It gives you proper code spacing in this area for off the wall. Now, something I haven't talked about my deck is when you look at this, this is not attached to the house. I would have to follow a lot more laws if this were attached to the house. But because it's not attached to the house and the framing is so many inches off the house, it counts as a freestanding deck. So in a way, I can cheat the, but it's not really cheating. It is law. I'm obeying the law, but I don't have to pay the money and the expense for having this deck attached. Now, of course, being freestanding, there are some potential issues you might run into, but I over-engineer. For example, technically you can go in this region on a deck with this wood, you can go 20 inches, but I go, I'm 16 inches on center, except over there where I actually built a 2-foot expansion in 2004. I built a 2-foot extension on this deck. No, that was 2013. I extended this out 2 feet. And I technically had 20 inches there. I don't know if you can see that. I had 20 inches there, which was in code, but I put in an additional system of bracing to lock everything into place, hold everything good to go, and I do over-engineer. Code says I only need 2x6s, I use 2x8s. Code says I need 2x10s, I'll use 2x12s. And just I go for the proper screws and decking and everything else. So I may not always be pretty, but other than the quality of the wood and on the deck boards, but that's why I've been able to build 3 decks on this same frame. And again, you look at this wood, there is no rotting. This has had 3 This is the third or fourth set of boards going on this deck in the last 20 some years. And this wood is solid. Absolutely solid. And whenever I'm doing certain things, I'll add double boards just to give a little more strength in some areas. So anyhow, so that was my cool new tool. And a little tip for folks that don't necessarily have the right tools at the right time. If you're laying down boards and you need them straight, but they're bowed, because especially a lot of your mass-produced shop wood is not straight, and of course treating them and everything else creates issues as well. You just old-fashioned tourniquet, basically. So if you don't have the tools available, you can make them. All right, we'll talk to you later. Well, it is about 2:35 in the afternoon. I've been out here since, I think 8:35, 8:40 working. And I don't feel like I'm getting a lot, but I clearly have got a lot more in. It's slow work. A lot of these boards are just warped, and I'm having to use my trick. The last two boards, actually, I could use foot power and forced them in while I screwed the thing in. But I've had a couple that really required some heavy-duty twisting to straighten them up. And I want to try to get this next section in and cut all those. The dumpster retrievers have not arrived yet, so I can keep throwing scrap in the dumpster. There's all kinds of little nooks and crannies you have to measure. I mean, if you look at our patio there, or the patio door, you can see the bricks jut out a bit, and typical luck on both sides, I had to cut boards a little bit different length to get around where the bricks jut out instead of being able to just start on line. But the downspout, and cutting inside post in some cases and around post on others. But it's going. I mean, to be honest, I'm looking at the new wood going in, and other than it's not as gray as the old wood, but it doesn't look as beat up, and there's clearly not all the pock marks and screws sticking up. That's what I'm really enjoying, is not seeing screws or screw lines. And so I'll keep trudging on here. I still have to mow my lawn. It's actually mostly the neighbor's yard there. But I got to mow around here, our air conditioner, and my backyard behind me. And then I got to take care of my yard, mow the lawn, finish the deck, and then try to regrow grass and plant new flowers. We had some beautiful rose bushes right here. We had to tear them out because they were rotted, and I needed them out of the way to do some of the deck work. It was really Joyce's thrill. She designed this odd little corner on each side, this little angle, 45-degree slice through. And it's not necessarily fun to cut the boards to it, but it was beautiful when it had the railings up and the beautiful flowers in it. But we shall continue. Taking a little water break. I took lunch about 11:30. Been working for about 2.5 hours, and I'm taking a little water break. Just got done fighting the tough board to get in, and we're transitioning from the old deck to the new deck. This board is right over the transition, and I mean, you can see some of the new underframing, but you can't see the old underframing unless you look down there. Maybe you can see the underframing of the old deck, and yep, this is the underframing of the new deck, and that under there is part of the underframing of the old deck, but it's raised up and mounted to the old post. You can see a couple of the old, where our deck used to end here. Some of the old post here. So we're at the transition of the old deck to the new deck, but I did a good job, if I can pat myself on the back. Maybe not pretty, but well done in terms of everything level. Actually, not quite level. Of course, you want a little bit of slope this way, a little bit of slope that way to take water away from the house and the foundation. So, you know, it would have been maybe smarter if I ran the boards this way, but when we talked to some of the folks at the home store that used to work in decking, they said, no, this is the better way to do it. So this is the way I did it. And it just makes for the better flow. And nothing fancy, no herringbones or anything like that. Oh well, I should finish drinking and get back to work. Well, it is, excuse me, it is 6:15 on Monday, April 15th, and I'm calling it done for the day. I've just turned on the grill because I guess I'm grilling steaks for dinner. And I didn't get as far as I wanted to get again, but oh well. Joyce came home from work and helped me get a few more boards in. But we've stopped here. I was hoping I'd get to the end, and if I kept working. The problem is I actually, after I cook dinner, I really need to mow my lawn still. And I've got to get that done. If I wait till tomorrow, well, I have cayenne all day, and I'd rather just get the mowing done, and then I don't have to worry about it looming. Should have done it earlier, but again, we got warmer than we were supposed to. Yesterday it got into the mid 80s, and it was only supposed to get up to upper 70s, and today I think it got near 80 again. It was only supposed to be in the low 70s. So the weather forecasters are doing a lousy job, guys. I like the blue skies, but I'm not ready for 80-degree weather yet. Nice 65-degree day with some clouds and sun mix would have been easier on this job, but I'm beat. I hate to admit it, but my body says I've done enough, and if I'm going to cook dinner and mow the lawn, I really need to stop here. I'm not going to work in the dark like I used to. I was a younger man then, but got those steps in yesterday, but they're no good until I got boards you can step on. I mean, we can work around, but I'm worried about my grandson. So there it is. I don't know how many boards I laid today, maybe 20. But then I get my little special area where I have to angle cut everything, but that's not too hard to do. So, all right, so that's another day on the deck. And then I gotta do the steps, then I gotta do the railings, so there's a lot to go. And we have rain in the forecast coming later in the week. All right, take care for now.